Nekusar, the Mindrazer, versus Samut, Voice of Dissent. We are on the draw, and we've opted to keep this hand because we have Misty Rainforest into a Brainstorm, that should be, and a Ponder, so that should be able to fix our land up alright for the second turn. And we are just about to take our turn, of course, so stop on the upkeep, which we'll have to remove. And then we're going for the Misty. We also have Vampiric Tutor, which isn't awful. I think we want to fix our land for next turn, then we can go into Sol Ring off of that. So we have a lot of blue and black in the hand, so why don't we just go for an Underground Sea. And then see if we want to shuffle the top of our library off a Ponder. We do not, because we have red and black there. So we can go Consecrated Sphinx, Bloodstain and Blood Crypt, and we'll draw into the Bloodstain next turn and shuffle the Consecrated Sphinx away. But as for now, we will pass over to our opponent. Nekusar the Mindrazer is 5 mana in Grixis for a 2/4, and at the beginning of each player's draw step, they draw an additional card. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they are dealt 1 damage. So what we basically want to do is get our opponent drawing lots of cards, get ourselves drawing lots of cards as well, and then use effects like Nekusar the Mindrazer and Spiteful Visions to deal damage to them and punish them for drawing lands, basically. We'll go for a... No, I think I want a Badlands here, because it means we can then go for the Sol Ring, and then we'll Brainstorm or Vampiric Tutor at the end of our opponent's turn, and probably just try and get into a Nekusar. Might even go for a Lightning Greaves next turn and then play the Nekusar the turn after. Depends what our opponent does here. We do of course have Remand held up as well. Counter a spell and bounce it back to their opponent, or back to your opponent's hand. And our opponent is playing a 5 mana commander. That's a 3/4 Gruul Samut. It has Flash, Double Strike, Vigilance and Haste. And other creatures you control have haste. It can also untap another target creature for white and a tap, which is good, so it can swing in for a lot of damage and then use that ability afterwards. And our opponent's going for a Mina and Den Wildborn. That means they can play an additional land on each of their turns. Not sure I'm too fond of that idea, to be honest, so I think we'll go for a Remand on that, just to try and slow our opponent down a little bit. We don't want them getting into lots of ramp and then we just end up having them draw a lot of cards. This is the problem against any kind of green ramp deck with Nekusar, is you're giving them the draw, and you're also giving them they have a lot of lands to play things, and you're giving them the spells to cast with all that land that they're playing. I think we can go for, if our opponent just wants to get down Mina and Den next turn, then we can just go for Nekusar here, I think. Our opponent might have removal, but if they do, we can put a stop on the upkeep just in case we want a Vampiric Tutor for something. I don't think I'd mind going for a Lightning Greaves next turn, but as you can see, our opponent is going to start taking damage from the Nekusar already. Pretty good getting it out on turn 3, I think we got it out. And we'll always yield to all of those triggers. So of course, whenever we wheel and cast something like Time Reversal, each player shuffles their hand and their graveyard into their library and then draws 7 cards. We're forcing them to draw 7, and they will take 7 damage from the Nekusar. And that's exactly the type of thing that we want to be doing. Cavern of Souls is relevant because we do have counter spells in this deck. They go for human off of that, so I think Samut is a human. Yes, Samut's human warrior. And they've only got 3 cards left in their deck, so I think we can go for... Or do we want to Spiteful Visions? I think we want to protect Nekusar, to be honest. So we'll go for the Lightning Greaves. And then maybe hold up a brainstorm. Where are we on the lightning greaves? It's under L, as you would expect it to be. And we get into another land, which is good. And Nekusar, of course, doesn't ping us off the damage, it's only our opponent. And we can go for... well, we'll put the greaves on Nekusar first off. And then we'll go for Verdant Catacombs, and next turn we can try and set ourselves up for something big. We can put things... yeah, with the Brainstorm, I think I'm going to put Spiteful Visions and Demonic Tutor. It of course depends on what we draw into, but I think we'll put Demonic Tutor and Spiteful Visions on top of the Brainstorm, and then we can cast Time Reversal and draw into those off the Time Reversal. Sylvan Reclamation. In fact, we might not have enough blue mana to do that actually, because we'll just end up drawing into the cards we put on top. Not to worry, we'll... Sylvan... yeah, Sylvan Reclamation is exile up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments, so they get rid of our Sol Ring. And coming in for some damage. That'll be 4 damage, knocking us down to 20. And then down to 19 off the Verdant Catacombs, and I think... I think we want to get into the Brainstorm, to be honest. So we'll have to shock that in. And go for Brainstorm. And then put Spiteful Visions and Demonic Tutor. It actually doesn't matter because we're about to draw into both of them. And we can get down the Volcanic Island. And Darksteel Plate is 3 to put out and 2 to equip. I think I actually don't mind that because does Samut have haste? It does have haste. If we see a Samut next turn, I actually quite like the idea of... they got rid of the Lightning Greaves on Nekusar as well. I like the idea of being able to block with Nekusar. So, as slow as this is, we are being dealt quite a bit of damage here by our opponent. So being able to block with the Nekusar is very useful. They can still exile it, of course. And we will not swing in. We want to be able to block with the Nekusar, which is now indestructible. Darksteel Plate is indestructible, and the equipped creature is indestructible. 3 to put out, 2 to equip. So it of course means that we can block with Nekusar as much as we want. Just worried about the Samut coming down, which is 5 mana, and our opponent doesn't have 5 mana. I don't think. Oh, is this a bounce land? Ah, they do have 5 mana. And they've gone for Enchant a Permanent. At the beginning of pre-combat main phase, add mana equal to the permanent's mana cost. That's an interesting card. Oh, Liliana's Caress. Yeah, we'll go for the Graven Cairns. And then that can be... yeah, we'll try and set up for a big play next turn. That'll be Splendid Visions. And Splendid Visions deals damage to us as well every time we draw a card. So it's pretty risky, but with the Liliana's Caressed, that's Liliana's Caressed, every time our opponent discards a card, they lose 2 life. They will discard quite a few cards off of the Time Reversal, so actually, I don't think they discard anything off the Time Reversal, do they? No, they shuffle it into there. Yeah, that's... might be worth going for a wheel effect in that case. Or... no, actually. Spiteful Visions is going to be dealing us some damage, so I think we need to try and maybe do something about that with the Demonic Tutor. But first it'll deal some damage to our opponent, and we get a lot of stacks on the trigger. I will read out Spiteful Visions just so everyone is clear after I've gotten rid of these windows, and stop it triggers. Just go on automatically. There we go. At the beginning of each player's I'm getting confused now with all these triggers. I started reading Nekusar instead of the Spiteful Visions. An enchantment, at the beginning of each player's draw step, they draw an additional card, but whenever a player draws a card, it deals 1 damage to that player. So our opponent is drawing into a lot of things here, including a Mana Vault that will help get down their commander, as will the Elemental Resonance. I thought that said Renaissance then, that's, yeah, Resonance. Let's see what our opponent's going for here. They do have a full grip, but they're also being dealt some damage. We're on pretty much equal life here, but our opponent is packing more with regards to, what have we got here? Dinosaur spells cost 2 life. It might be a Naya dinosaur deck then. The opponent has 2 mana tapped down. This might be a disenchant or something like that. No, it's Sunblessed Mount. When it enters the battlefield, you can search your library or graveyard for a card named Huatli Dinosaur Knight to reveal it. I think that's the red Huatli. And put it into your hand. You search your library this way, shuffle it. We'll have to. Yeah, it's 6 damage from Samut, so that'll be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We might have been rushed to. Yeah, we might have to get something with the Demonic Tutor here, because if we wheel, yeah, I think that was a bad play getting out the Spiteful Visions. Let's go for Demonic Tutor and see if we can actually do anything about that. Might be able to force the draw actually, that might be fun. But let's just have a quick look at what we have. We have Damnation, that might do it. I think Damnation could do it. Let's go for, where are we? I just had it, there we go. Let's go for Damnation, that would be, unfortunately can't go for, yeah, we'll just, I think, yeah, if we leave up red, we can go for a Vandal Blast on the Elixir of Immortality. And Nekusar, of course, will not be destroyed off of this because it's indestructible. And we'll go for a Vandal Blast on the Elixir. And we want to keep Mana Vault in play just so that it will help us get some damage through. And we'll swing him in Nekusar because I think we need to get through as much damage as we possibly can. And Mana Vault, they may pay to untap because they can't get Samut out now. That will cost them 7 mana. Yeah, 5 plus 2. 7 mana. And they are going to untap Mana Vault to keep damage from coming on. We'll always yield to that. Yeah, bit of a misplay on my part putting the Spiteful Visions out because it does deal damage to us. So we might just lose next turn actually. I could force the draw with the time reversal and we could both lose simultaneously. Or we could force our opponent to discard as well. Okay, Azusa. Have to imagine they have some lands in the hand to play out. Surely we've had them draw into more lands. And that does mean that we're likely to see our opponent's commander next turn. Okay, Arena Rector. That is the Planeswalker put out onto the field creature. Yep. When it dies, search your library for a Planeswalker and put it out onto the field. Now let's see if we die here. No, we go down to 1. Yeah, I thought we would survive at 1. That is... Can we get our opponent then? That's... They draw a card anyway, that's 1. Then Nekusar has them draw 1. That's 2 draws. Spiteful Visions gets another draw. Font of Mythos gets another 2 draws, that's 5. And for each draw they take a ping from Nekusar and Spiteful Visions. That should be 10. So I think that should do it. So despite my unfortunate misplays, I think we've got it. Go for the Font of Mythos. That makes them draw an additional 2 cards at the beginning of their draw step or upkeep. Draw step. So they do have time to respond. Hopefully they don't have time to do that. Or hopefully they don't have any cards in their hand that can do anything about these things. Yeah, they're going to try and save themselves some life off of the Mana Vault, but assuming they don't draw into any answers, which they may well do, I think we have it here. Yeah, we get our opponent down to 0. We would have dealt them another couple of damage there. What was happening there was we were forcing them to draw more with the Spiteful Visions and with the Font of Mythos. I shouldn't have got the Spiteful Visions down as quickly as I did, because that dealt us a lot of damage, but we did draw into extra cards off of it, and we just lucked out and held on to a single point of life there. That is the Nekusar, the Mindrazer deck. Not piloted particularly gracefully by me, but I don't run it that often. I built it years and years ago when Nekusar first came out, and I seldom play it, but I've had a few people request that it comes back, so every now and then I will replay Nekusar, and next time I play it I'll try not to butcher the game as much as I did there, but that's a win for us. Hope you enjoyed Nekusar the Mindrazer, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching.